Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create users in 360 so they can start logging in and using the application. With your initial sign up, we usually create one administrator account, and so you're probably the person that's logged in right now. So I'm going to show you again how to create additional users, how to put them into different user groups, and how to carry it forward from there. So without further ado, you should be on your dashboard page here, if that's the first screen that appears right after you log in. So simply, to create a user, go to your users link on your primary navigation bar here, and here comes a list of users that would already be in the application. For you, you're going to create a new one, so you're going to go to this blue button on the right here that says add a user. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to give my user a name. Last name I'm going to do Joe Smith. I'm going to keep him as an active user. You can always deactivate users if you want to turn them off in the system. Rather than delete them, it's good to deactivate them. Now, if you remember, in our training videos for setting up the application, we talked about the 3 different user types that there are. So those are the ones that populate here: administrators, journeymen, or apprentices. Understanding that sometimes people can wear both hats. So if you have an administrator, but they also do work in the field, then you would assign them as an administrator, and then you would select both of these options for account rep, which is an office person, or in the field. This will allow them later to toggle back and forth between the 2 interfaces to be able to see more information or an office view from the field, but then also to go in as a worker and track their time and labor, or their time and materials against a job. So if that is the case for this worker, you'll want to make sure that they are both selected. If it's just an administrator and they simply work in the office, you want to disconnect that in field, and then they will have full access to the system and it will never flip them to the field view. Okay, you're going to put in their billable rate, and this is an average cost here, and then you're going to put in an average cost formula here. You'll want to watch the next video that I cover about user setup. I talk a little bit more in detail about how this field works, but you're going to want to put some type of a value in there as this goes into the metrics and profit and loss statements that the system does create against jobs and for workers. So just create this. You're going to want to put a user email in. This can be any email. It has to be an active email in that they need to be able to log into the system using that email. The other thing is if there are any messages sent from the system that post to their emails, you'll want to make sure that it's the right address here. Password you can set up. There's some instructions about this, which is kind of standard nowadays. You have to have capitals and numbers and non-sequential. So I'm going to create a standard password for this person. And again, you'll want to read through this and make sure that the passwords you create have the same or follow the parameters of security that you see here. You can put in additional information for this person here, but it's not required. Cell phones, images, signatures, things like that can be uploaded for each user. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, now that I've saved this, you'll notice that there are tabs illuminated now. You can see these orange tabs, and there's a video where I talk about navigation overall for the whole system here. I talk a little bit more about the layers of navigation: primary, the orange tabs and how they work, and then again just kind of getting around the system. Since we're in users and it's at the beginning, I'll just talk about this as it applies to the users. You've completed your user info screen, and now you've got permissions, which is next to it. So you're going to set the permissions for this user. Now this can be real easy because we have, if you watch the application settings videos, this is all set up for you using default settings for each of the user types. Most of the time you're going to find that the defaults are the correct ones, but you can go through each user and you can select and deselect specific items in which you want them to be allowed to work, or specific areas where you want them to work. So most of the common ones for the field workers and laborers are whether you want them to see all jobs or just the jobs that they are scheduled for. So that takes place here and also in jobs where you get up in here. Yeah. So you can select and deselect the ones, but the defaults are pretty good for the most part for most user types that we've encountered so far. But that happens here. I always recommend with a new user that you go to this page and hit save. Even though it preloads, it's just good to deliberately do that. You can upload documents and files for a user if there is hiring documents or things that you want to put in. You do have a security certificate with the application, but we still kind of advise against putting social security numbers up here. As it's not a banking application, but you can put any type of document and file up that you want for each user. The activity log I'll cover in a separate video, but basically you can track the actions of any user in the system over time. You want to use the little arrows over here on the right, but you can see what they've done today, last week, over the last 30 days. It organizes that and displays it by action. For the most part, you're going to operate within these first two tabs here. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty easy to set up a user. You can use the default permissions or you can create your own. Always remember when you're done to save your work. Okay, and that's pretty much it for how to set up a user. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.